Before we start today, this episode is about breastfeeding. So, before we start the podcast, we want to say that feeding journeys can bring up a lot of things, a lot of feels. And today we'll be talking about not only breastfeeding, but that also includes breastfeeding grief, trauma, latch issues, low supply, and exclusive pumping. We're not lactation consultants or specialists. We're simply sharing our personal experiences feeding our first babies. If feeding is a sensitive topic for you, please take care of yourself while listening. Pause if you need to, and come back when you're ready. There is no right way to feed a baby, and there is space here for every story. If this conversation brings up sadness, grief, anger, or anything else, please remember you're not alone. Reach out to someone you trust, whether that's a friend, family member, or a professional. So welcome to Attached Mamas podcast. Today we're sharing our experiences of breastfeeding with a strong focus on my journey. And we want to shed light on exclusive pumping and the reality that breastfeeding doesn't always go the way we hope. Our hope is that expecting or future mamas feel a little more prepared, and that mamas who've been through something similar feel seen and held. We truly believe every mama does the best she can for her baby. And while feeding journeys can look very different, there are many, many ways to foster secure attachment with our babies, no matter how they're fed. And we'll look at that today.
Okay, so this episode is about your journey, and we will cover my experience in a later episode because my journey is not over. I'm still feeding a 2.5-year-old, and the topics that I want to talk about are just so different that it didn't fit. It didn't feel right to talk about it in the same episode. So what I will cover is just my experience in just the first couple of days of establishing breastfeeding and what that looked like for me, and then I'll hand over to you. So as we covered last week in the birth story, immediately latched after birth, which I am so immensely grateful for, and it was an incredible moment. And we were doing really well. He was latching. I was producing colostrum. I think really there were only 2 hiccups that I had that I want to talk about because it might help or might resonate with some people. The first is the conflicting advice I got from different midwives in the hospital, which actually caused me to want to discharge earlier. We stayed there 3 nights and were offered an extra night because of the blood loss I'd had, but I declined and wanted to go home because I had a midwife tell me, you are doing an amazing job. He's latching, everything's fine, just feed on demand. So that's what I was doing. And then I had another midwife come in, wake me up in the middle of the night and say, how long has it been since your baby fed? And I was like, what's the time? And it had been, maybe 3 hours. And she kind of told me off. She was like, that's way too long. You need to be feeding him every 2 hours at the latest. And I just got so upset because I felt like I'd listened to the other midwife.
Exactly.
And then I was there were a few little things like that just the conflicting advice made me question myself. And then the first midwife was on shift again, and she said, you know what, you guys don't need to be here. If you're happy to go home, I'm happy to discharge you because you're doing a good job. And I think she kind of knew the other nurse, things were different in a different era, was a bit older, and I think the advice, So that was a bit of a unsettling moment, but we got through that fine. The biggest thing that surprised me is I knew the process in terms of I knew you get colostrum for a little bit and then your milk will come in, but I didn't know how hard it was when you are waiting for the milk to come in. And there was a day, maybe 4 days after I was born, that he was starving. He was cluster feeding. He was on me the whole day and I had no milk to give him. And the distress that we were both in, it got to a point where I thankfully had been able to get some colostrum before birth ready to go. And the midwife that comes to visit you said to give him that, and I gave him that. But if I hadn't had that, I think I would have just out of sheer panic given him formula. and he didn't need it because the next morning I woke up and my boobs were massively engorged and the milk was flowing. And from then we really, other than an initial bit of discomfort and pain, we really didn't have an issue. But I think what I would tell people that are hoping to breastfeed, we've got a lot of messages for you that we'll give at the end of the episode, but one is there is likely going to be a very hard day when your baby is hungry and you do not have milk yet. And as long as your baby has been medically cleared and you are listening to advice, that is okay.
Yes.
And that's actually part of the process, is that they are hungry and they are sucking and sucking and sucking to bring that milk in.
Yes.
And I just didn't know that was, I didn't know the reality of it.
Exactly.
But I think I'll leave it there, because everything else that I want to say is for a different episode, and it's about extended breastfeeding, and we'll get there when we get there.
And PPA, so
and and I'll touch on a few things next week when we talk about PPA, but there'll be a extended breastfeeding.
So we'll talk about that more as well next step, so that people know if you're experiencing that or have experienced that or concerned of that, you're aware that next step will cover that. But also something that you didn't mention that I remember you having, and I just think it's an important part, because C had that was one of the things that we struggled with, is that you found out that R had a tongue tie. It was a slight tongue tie, that's what they said. He had a lip tie, which you weren't aware of, but they had a lip tie.
Yes.
And at the beginning, it was painful.
Yes, it was very painful.
Rowan, your husband, had to help flip his lip. So I just think it's important to share those things too, because, no matter if I did any of those things, it still didn't work. So it's just good to hear when it does work.
Yes.
It's like, these are the sorts of things that it's like.
And also another way that your partner can support you if they know. So it's so funny. I'd almost forgotten, but you're so right. In the first kind of probably couple of weeks, often I would latch and it'd be not right, because it would be immediately excruciatingly painful, and I would kind of go into like freeze response. Like I couldn't really.
So painful.
And then Rowan would come over and flip his little top lip up.
That's because of the lip tie.
And then he'd reattach and it would be perfect. And I think that's the thing is, if it is very painful, something is wrong.
Yes.
Because when it is going right, like it is not painful.
Yes.
It is not designed to be painful.
Yes. I think that's extremely, extremely important to talk about when we talk about breastfeeding, is it's not meant to be excruciating. It's not meant to be agonizing.
No.
If you have pain, it means that there is something wrong.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk about this more, but my lactation consultant said to me, your job as a mum is to make milk.
Yeah.
Now, I had issues there too, so we'll talk about that also. But it's like, your job is to make milk and it's baby's job to suck.
Yes.
And if the sucking is hurting, then it means that there's something wrong with bub.
Yes.
And it kind of feels bad as a mum, because you immediately want to defend your baby. But it also means, okay, what is medically happening? So there's tongue ties, there's lip ties, there's so many things. There's the body positioning, there's sensitive children, everything that I had to face.
Yes.
All those things. But the beautiful thing is that after you guys worked it out and he got it was no longer painful.
Yes. Yeah. So after a few weeks of those little adjustments, it was mostly no longer painful. I would say 99% of the time it was not painful. And then when I was 2, he actually had dental surgery for something separate, and they fixed his lip tie. And after that, it was even better. Yes. And I was kind of like, oh, it's a bit late now.
Yes.
Maybe we should have done this sooner.
Yes.
But it really didn't impact us that much, which is, I think, just grateful for that.
Yeah.
But Mel, where shall we start? Because there's so much to unpack.
I think just have to start after birth and just go from there.
Okay. I'm just going to let you talk and I'll ask questions along the way.
All right. I do preface that this is still something very, very tender for me. I've tried to do a lot of work on it. It's just something that is very sensitive for me. So if you're watching the video, you may see me clam up. Like, you may already see that I'm quite tense. Like, my feet are already tense and I'm already like, and I've been like mentally preparing myself for this ep. So yeah, just I hope that you'll understand, like, either my voice may change or you may see it in my body, physical posture. But Yeah, so we had the emergency cesarean. We talked about our birth stories last time. I had the emergency cesarean. They didn't put him on my chest immediately. That was one of the biggest traumas. They took him away, and it took them, I believe, more than an hour and a half, because you can see it in the hospital records and also in the photos, for them to finally put him on my chest. And he was also like semi-drugged because of the drugs in my system that went into his. So those were already two factors. Now, if we wrote down all the factors that impacted my breastfeeding journey, it's actually quite a long list.
Yeah.
So those were already two. One, not straight on the chest. Two, not skin to skin immediately. He was bundled. And three, this like the drugs.
The drugs, yeah.
The drugs.
Yeah.
So they tried to put him on, and he wouldn't latch, immediately wouldn't latch. And we tried so many different positions. Different midwives would grab my boob, would shove it in, would try to like do so many different things. He would get distressed. I could not express colostrum beforehand as well. Like, I tried everything and I just couldn't. So even at the hospital, it was really hard for me to express.
Yeah.
So the midwives, this is one thing I was really grateful for. The midwives were coming and literally expressing my breasts into the syringes, because I could not do it.
Yeah.
So they were expressing, and then we would give a syringe with our finger next to the syringe so that he would suck the finger kind of like a nipple instead of giving him a bottle, just to stimulate the breastfeeding. And so we pretty much did that the whole time in the hospital. And unfortunately, because I couldn't get enough colostrum out fast enough, sometimes we did have to give him a little bit of formula, but we were only giving him like the tiny syringes still, no bottles.
Yeah.
So tiny little syringes of a little bit of formula here and there. Is that right? I have no clue, but it's what we had to do. I had so many midwives calling themselves lactation consultants that seriously, my husband at some point said, for goodness sake, I could be a lactation consultant. Like, everyone's calling themselves a lactation consultant.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different opinion.
Yes.
That Sven was like, goodness gracious, I could be one.
Yes. Yeah.
So every new midwife would come, would ask how feeding's going. It's not going. So then they would like, look, he has a slight tongue tie, they said. He didn't even have a full tongue. I have a bigger tongue tie than C did.
Yeah.
So they were waiting to get a doctor to come in to do the cut of the release, they call it, of the tongue tie. But they weren't in for a couple of days. So it was like 3 days of this. And every time a new midwife was coming, it was different, conflicting information. And he was starting, 3-day-old baby, starting to get distressed at my breast.
Of course.
Because of them grabbing his head, grabbing my breast, shoving it on, doing this. Like, it was distressing him. So by the point of me having him close to my breast, he would be screaming.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know what to do. And I wanted to go home. I was like, I can't stay here with the way that you guys are managing this. I have to leave.
Yeah.
So 4 days after a C-section is technically like the earliest you can leave. And I'm like, I have to leave. And they were even like trying to keep me in. I'm like, nope, I'm leaving. Can't do this.
Yeah.
Doctor finally, literally the couple of minutes before we left, finally came and did a small release.
Yeah.
I have no clue why they didn't do a full release.
Yeah.
So now I honestly just tell everyone, please just do a full release. If your baby has a tongue tie and it's impacting breastfeeding, ask the doctors, yes, of course. But if it's impacting breastfeeding whatsoever, do a full release.
Yes.
Because the thing about it is that it'll grow back slightly anyway.
Yes.
So just do it.
Can I ask a question about having to repeat your story over and over again to different midwives? Surely they could have had, like, were there not discussions being held during shift change or handover? Surely they must recognise what a vulnerable time you're in, and asking you to repeat the same thing over and over again is a bad idea.
Yeah, no, I have no clue. I think they're just so overwhelmed with so many people.
Yeah.
It's just not.
So people were coming in having no context and just saying, how's it going?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, still not breastfeeding. Oh, let me try this. Or have you tried this? And so literally tried everything. And so then we came home and our MGP midwife, which was really lovely, was also a lactation consultant. Surprise, everybody is. And so she actually gave me a few other options. She was the first one to suggest a breast shield.
Yep.
So she gave me one, but it was not the right fit for me. And she also gave me, I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically like where you can have milk somewhere else, or it can even be formula. And you...
Yes, the tube.
Yeah, there's
and
a
so
tube.
they're at your breast,
Yes.
but the flow is coming
through the
I've
nipple.
seen that.
And sometimes it helps for them to do that because then they stimulate the breast and they can latch and then you can switch off. So I don't remember what it's called. I apologize. But we did try that too, and he just was not latching. So also if you look at photos of him, his neck was totally like, Rowan would know what it's called.
Torticollis?
Yeah.
Yeah, something
I don't
like
know.
that.
Like where they're like their head is totally facing back. So he's like arching his back completely.
Stuck, yeah.
When he used to do, like, he was able to lift his head up, like his neck and head up at 3 days old.
Because, and I think this is, he was
It's not a good thing.
He was stuck in your pelvis in that position.
Yes,
so of
he
course
had
it's going
face
to
presentation.
impact after birth. Yeah.
Yeah, he had face presentation.
Can I ask, all this time, because this is days now, are you pumping? Are you hand expressing? What are you doing for you?
So I was still getting the colostrum out, and then I think at like day 5, so day 4 we came home. And we were just kind of trying to establish home. Like we were constantly still trying to get him on the breast, but it was more like just expressing colostrum and at that point giving him a bit of formula.
Of course,
top-ups. And like really tiny bit. It was literally like 30 mil or less.
Yeah. Because this is something people that haven't had a baby might not know, is that when your baby is born, their stomach is so tiny.
Yeah.
That they literally need like a teaspoon a day of fluid, and then their tummy grows quite quickly. But this is, sometimes still, even in 2026, you see photos of newborn babies being given whole big bottles, and it's just it's not what
their stomach is like a teaspoon.
Yeah.
But we were doing like max 30 mil formula to the point that Sven was so tired. And Sven has a degree in engineering, so he's good at maths. You don't even have to be good at maths for this. He was so tired that he was like, Mel, it takes me so long to measure out how much milk to get. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, well, it's I have to like measure and figure out 30 mil. And I'm like, but on the back of the formula it says 60 mil, so you just halve it. And he was like, I can't do that maths, Mel. And I'm like, you can't half 60?
Oh, poor Sven.
So we still laugh about that to this day because he was like, I can't do that maths, Mel. It was like so complicated. I'm like, you can't half 60. Okay.
Oh.
So not only am I here recovering from C-section, I can't barely get up. C is also just needing me a lot, clearly as any newborn, but he's not one of those newborns that's just happy in a crib. So that was really hard as well with the C-section, and he's not latching. So then at day 5, I put the pumps on.
Yep.
The thing is, they talk about flanges very little. In the hospital, they don't talk about flange sizes at all.
No.
Absolutely ridiculous. No one tells you this. Please, if you're going to breastfeed or want to breastfeed, look at flanges.
Yeah.
Look at your flange
Measure
size.
your nipples.
It is so important. So I did measure my nipples beforehand. However, because mine are on the smaller end, which again, the midwives said it was my fault that my baby couldn't latch because my nipples were too small, which is, I'm sorry, I can swear on this. It's bullshit.
It is bullshit because you and I are the same phalange size.
Yes. And my sister-in-law and my sister and like multiple women I know have the same size as me and they don't have issues.
No.
So it's like, F you.
Yeah.
Making a mum feel guilty about something that I have no control over.
No.
But I mean, even if you have inverted, even if you have something else, your job as a mum is to make milk.
Yes.
That's it. That's what the lactation consultant said to me, and I'm just going to say it to everybody here.
Yep.
Your job is just to make milk. If you're struggling to make milk, there's a lot of things that we can look at as well.
Yes.
So talk to lactation consultants, talk to your GP, look at your nutrition. There's so many different options.
Yes.
You know, in the Western world, we immediately jump to formula. And I mean, that's an awesome option because it's
a life-saving option.
It's a life-saving
right?
option.
Yeah.
But in other countries where they don't have easy access to formula, they really do look at mum's health. They look at mum's stress levels. They look at so many different factors, which we don't look at enough in the Western world.
Yeah. The only thing, so I don't want to get off topic, but just quickly on that is also this kind of messaging that is somewhat going away, but it's still there in terms of like breastfeeding your baby at certain hourly intervals.
No.
That is not how breastfeeding works. And you establish a strong supply if things are going well with insanely frequent time on the breast. Was on me, like it was barely off me.
Yeah, and we're talking about infants, like we're talking about
about days old babies, fresh babies.
They need to be on us.
Yeah.
They need to be honest. They need to be skin to skin.
Exactly.
They need, and this is secure attachment. So we're all about attachment here, and secure attachment is we are responding to our babies.
Exactly.
If our babies are crying as a newborn, there's only a few things they're crying. That's their language.
Yes.
That's their language. That's the only way they can communicate with us. And feeding is a massive one.
Mm-hmm.
And they just need to kind of be on and around the breast the whole time.
Yeah.
Minimum 3 months.
Yeah.
They say 40 days.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I'm going to just extend it a little bit. But, so I started pumping, but I was pumping with the wrong flange sizes. And what that meant, and I mean, like, really wrong.
Yeah.
And that was...
So you're going to be in pain from that?
Kind of my error, but the only thing was that it was the smallest flange size that I could get.
Mm.
So I got the smallest thinking that's obviously mine, but it wasn't. So, for example, the smallest on is like 15, but mine was like, I found out yesterday at the Baby Expo that mine's 11.
Right, yeah.
That's 2 sizes different.
Yes, yeah.
And even in some flanges, I was using 17 because it's the only one I had.
Yeah.
So the whole nipple is going in. No, sorry, the whole kind of breast tissue is going in, not just the nipple.
Yeah.
And so then I was getting blocked ducts. Milk was not coming out, and milk was like barely coming out.
Yeah.
Also because I'm not having, like, I always had, and this is very important, I always had my son next to me when I was breastfeeding, like pumping on me, because that's what helps the oxytocin to stimulate breast, like the breast milk.
Yes.
So even though he was on me and near me, it was like, it was just not stimulating. So I was 5 days at this point, and I had a midwife again come and suggest that I take, all I remember is it's called domperidone. I think it's another name as well for the medication.
Yes.
I was 5 days postpartum at this point.
Yep.
So your milk can still take a while to come in.
Yes.
Just naturally.
Yes.
Let alone in the circumstances that I had.
Yes.
I was getting some coming out. It's not that I had nothing.
Yep.
And so she gave me that prescription, and when I looked at all the side effects, I was like, I don't want that at 5 days postpartum. I really want to give this a shot. And luckily another midwife, the amount of midwives I met with, it's just insane. I know. But luckily another one said to me, you don't need that, Mel, because I was like panicking. I was like, I don't want to take that because of the side effects.
Yeah.
It like really affects mental health, etc.
Yeah.
That they said, you don't need that, Mel, because you're getting some coming out.
Yes, you are producing.
If you have nothing coming out, fair. But I was producing like a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, okay, you just have to keep going. So I started pumping, even though it wasn't like working perfectly. The guys at Babka,
I bought them.
I know, I love them. Leash and Ari, husband and wife team, powerhouse team. Leash was also an exclusive pumper, went through the same thing. So that's why she created this breast pump company. But they beautifully gifted me this pump before I had C. So I had it.
Yes.
Thank goodness, because all hospitals and pharmacies in my radius were all out of the pumps that they hire out.
Yes.
So if I was just like thinking, oh, I'll just hire one, I would have been screwed.
Yeah.
So, and manually expressing for me was not working.
No.
And the Hucker like hand express was not working for me either.
Mm.
I needed a full pump. So then I put the Bobco one on, unfortunately with the wrong flange size, and that was more on me because it was at that time, in my opinion, I think it was their smallest flange size, but I don't know. Now they have all of the flange sizes.
Yes, yeah.
That's what they specialize in now.
Yeah.
But I put that on, and that saved my pumping journey, because at nighttime I could put it on, and when you exclusively pump, you're pumping when a newborn should be feeding, which is when?
All the time.
So you have a robot on you all the time.
Yeah.
So this is also why I recommend people don't get one with cords.
Yes.
Because if you have to exclusively pump, nobody wants to, but if you have to, you will be doing it potentially around the clock.
Yeah.
And if you have already a child around, even harder. But if you have a newborn, you want to still have them close. You still want to be in close proximity. You still want to be able to move your arms and move around.
Yes.
So cordless, put it in. So I was pumping every 2 hours, every 3 hours. Sometimes I would do 10 minutes and then stop, and then 10 minutes, and then I would do that for like an hour.
Yep.
So I'd be pumping for about an hour, and then I would do that again in 3 hours.
Yep.
In 3 hours. So I actually saved it, and maybe I can put it up on Instagram again, but I saved how many hours / days of pumping I did, because I ended up pumping for 18 months.
Yeah.
Of course, not every 3 hours, but I pumped every 3 hours, including overnight, until 5 months.
Yeah.
And then to 7 months.
Yeah.
So anyway, continuing. We were getting a little bit of milk out. We're getting enough for Bub.
Yes.
We always had to substitute for like one formula bottle.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was still, I was still just like, any breast milk is enough.
Yes.
Any.
Yes.
And when I spoke to my lactation consultant, she's like, literally any amount of breast milk changes gut.
Even just if all you're going to, if you're someone that just doesn't want to breastfeed at all, that's totally valid. But I would just encourage you to look into just what colostrum can do.
Exactly.
Even just teaspoons of colostrum for the first few days and then stopping. The difference between that and nothing, massive.
And again, if you struggle with the baby coming to the breast, whether the baby's struggling to come on the breast or whether it's something that you have with the baby coming on the breast, fair enough. Having someone that can help you express the colostrum just for those couple of days is so important for gut health.
Yes. Yeah.
So by day 6-ish, I was breaking, because my son, when he would come near the breast, he would scream. He would be repulsed. And I was like, this is so wrong for a newborn. So I was desperate, and I actually called my acupuncturist and I said, do you know of a lactation consultant? She put me in touch with amazing Felicity, and Felicity saved my mental health.
Yeah.
So I called her, she answered the phone, and she talked to me for like half an hour over the phone. Wow. And she asked me everything that was happening, and she said, you are doing everything right. You know, she apologized for the care that I had at that point. And so she said, I can see you in, I believe, like 2 days or something. I can see you in 2 days or a day.
Yeah.
But before that, she said, I want you to reestablish and let your son do the crawl.
Yeah.
You know, so what is it called again?
It's called the breast crawl.
The breast crawl, that's right. So the breast crawl. I want you to do the breast crawl again. So she sent me videos.
Yeah.
And so we just did that. So I was constantly doing skin to skin already. But at this point, it was like just letting him crawl down to the breast and reestablishing that connection with the breast.
I might just tell people what the breast crawl is, because
so
some
beautiful.
people might have never heard of it. So
Google it, please.
Google it.
Watch videos.
Google it. So I think it's obviously an evolutionary thing, in that sometimes after birth, mothers are completely exhausted, right? And you may be birthing alone in a historical situation. Newborn babies have the ability to pull their little bodies up from where they're born, up your tummy, and to find your breast and hopefully to latch. And it's an incredible, it's just, watch it. Google it.
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
The most beautiful thing.
It is.
So we would put him on my chest and he would crawl down. And she wanted to know whether he was already doing that, because she wanted to know, because I said to her that he's getting distressed. She's like, would he do that? And I said, I think so. So yes, he would still go there, and then he wasn't distressed.
Yeah.
So basically she said, Mel, breastfeeding is a relationship. Why no other midwife said that, I have no I'm sorry, we can swear. I have no fucking
It's our
clue.
podcast. We can swear.
So she told me just let him reestablish there. And that's also something that I recommend even if you're not breastfeeding, even if you can't or you don't want to or you're not, I still recommend establishing that connection near the breast.
Yeah.
Because that, again, is secure attachment. That is a bonding. That's oxytocin with your baby.
Yes.
And so getting bub near the breast, and then you can give a bottle. If that's the only option you've got, please do that.
Yes.
Because like we pretty much hacked my son's brain to be a breastfeeding child, but not having ever really fully fed at the breast, like on the breast.
Yes.
So we ended up seeing her. She helped us with positioning. She got us immediately in touch with a surgeon for the tongue tie and the lip tie release. And so it was all private. This is all so insanely expensive, by the way.
I was going to say, you're spending a fortune at this
point. We are
spending
a fortune that we did not have. We didn't have savings set aside for this. We didn't have, but it's just like, well, this is what we have to do for our son for the rest of his life.
Yes.
Because the thing about tongue ties and lip ties and all of this stuff, it can impact you beyond just your mouth. It's jaw structure, it's sleep, it's digestion, it's gut. He also had colic.
Yes.
Not surprising. He's not able to swallow. He's not able to suck. He could barely, I didn't even say this, he could barely latch onto a bottle.
Yes.
Let alone my nipples.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't care what size my nipples were. He'd be struggling.
Yes, of course.
And so he couldn't latch onto a bottle. He did not like dummies. He couldn't. Not that I even cared about that because I was just like, whatever, I just want him to be okay. And so he was having colic, screaming 5+ hours in a row from his tummy. And so, Felicity helped us look at positioning. And we were able to get him still always near the breast. We got nipple shields. We got all that stuff too. But essentially we were like, let's not try to force it until the lip surgery.
Yeah.
So there was about 3 weeks. So his tongue tie surgery was booked for a month, the month date. So, so anyway, we also saw a body worker. So body worker is basically a chiropractor. And we saw one that was able to just look at his body and saw that he's arching backwards.
Yeah.
So he was helping with the arch to get him forward. And we were doing exercises with his body. We were stretching his little legs and stretching his little arms and stretching him up. So we were doing exercises like 4 times a day. We were seeing a body worker. We were, getting him at the breast all the time. I was exclusively pumping every 3 hours and healing from C-section all this time. I have to say that because I'm just like, for goodness sake.
I know.
And so then, and the colic and all of that. So then, after the tongue and lip tie surgery, the next day I went in, we saw Felicity, and we had our first and one of our only ever latches. And it was the most beautiful, most amazing feeling in the world.
I know, I remember talking to you after.
And I filmed it, my sister filmed it, and it's just one of the things that I hold on to because I remember it didn't hurt.
Yep.
It was just amazing to be able to feed him from my breast. And even though we had a shield, it didn't matter.
No.
It was the most amazing feeling. And I thought, yes, we've got it.
Yep.
I thought, yes, we've got it. We've finally got it. And Felicity said to me, yes, this is very normal. It's straight after a tongue tie we can get it. But she did say, it doesn't mean you're going to get it forever.
Okay. Yep.
We still have to do all these things. So from the surgeon, I had to basically lift up his tongue and do exercises inside his mouth like 4 times a day. So even in the middle of the night, he was like, even in the middle of the night, you have to like lift up his tongue and you have to lift up his lip. So I was doing exercises 4 times a day for about how many weeks? I think it was about a month. I don't remember how long. It was a really long time.
Yeah.
Because he was like, it can very easily grow back.
Yeah.
So on top of all of this, I'm also doing the body exercises, the tongue exercises, the lip exercises.
And pumping around the
clock, trying to get him on the breast constantly. And Yeah, so we were doing all of that. And he didn't latch back easily. We tried multiple things. But then also a challenge that I had is that we had guests visiting. So my in-laws, they were lovely and they were helpful. It just meant there were extra people around.
Yes, at a time when you don't need other opinions and you don't need interruptions.
Yeah. It was just a very, very sensitive, fragile time that, like, in hindsight, I think I would have just wanted to cocoon and be completely alone and just me and him.
Yes.
And just work it out.
Yes.
Because other people around, they're constantly staring, they're constantly trying to help, they're constantly trying to get involved. And in hindsight, I just think I just needed complete solitude between me and Bub. And anyone else can be around and, like, doing things and getting things, but, like, I just need to be with him.
Yeah.
So he latched, I think, 2-3 times, very sporadically.
It was
like so random.
I remember he latched on Christmas.
Yes, and it was the most random times. Like, sometimes I would try and everything was perfect. We were alone and wouldn't work. And then other times it wasn't great timing and then he would just get on. So I was like, I don't know. So he latched 3 times. And then, like, because they were over the space of like 3 months, I was still trying up to 4 months.
Yes.
So it was like a lot of not working. And I was trying pretty much every day. That I was like, I just can't do this anymore.
That's what I was going to ask. When did you kind of in your heart say, well, was there a moment when you decided I'm going to exclusively pump and I'm not going to try anymore?
Around 4 months.
Yeah.
So around 4 months, I don't remember what it was, but I was just like, I don't think that this journey is for us now. Like, I've tried everything. And he's now latching well to a bottle. He's happy with the bottle. And we did establish it. So if anyone's watching the YouTube, you can see, and I'll try to describe it verbally, but, like, I would hold him, and I still hold him in my arm. His head would be at my breast, but I would hold the bottle, like, right next to the breast so that it literally is like he would be feeding from the bottle.
Yes.
And that also meant that we didn't have to burp him.
Yes. Yes.
Because he's feeding like a breastfed baby.
I was never burped. You don't really need to burp a breastfed baby.
You don't need to burp a breastfed baby. But not only I was holding the bottle, I also taught anyone else who was feeding him. And I was very strict on who could feed him.
Yes.
I hate the idea of just random people feeding because, again, secure attachment, your baby should only be feeding technically with a mum.
Yes.
But if they're going to be feeding with someone else, it has to be a secure figure.
I was going to say, feeding is a very kind of sacred, intimate act. And, yes, dads can help now with different ways that we feed babies, and I'm certainly not discouraging that. But I think this idea of, like, handing over a baby with a bottle to anyone to feed, we're doing a disservice to our babies to not have, 1, 2, kind of 3 max, very close trusted people that are doing the feeding.
Exactly. Yeah. So even my dad, like, I taught him how to do it. And so I remember seeing him do it, and I'm sure people were watching him going, like, how is this man feeding this baby? It's the weirdest thing, because he would, like, cross his legs in a way and then, like, hold him so that it was vertical, like it was horizontal.
Yeah.
But yeah, people would look at him like, it's a weird way of feeding a baby, but that's the way you should be feeding a baby.
Yeah.
You can also do upright, but that's also not very breastfeeding. So that's why it's like kind of hard. I did have videos from Felicity doing that with him. And so I would just show. It was only dad, mum, me and Sven.
Yeah.
So because also I'm pumping. Like, I can feed him while I'm pumping, but it definitely did help if someone could do it sometimes.
Yeah, of course.
Just occasionally. So yes, I never got mastitis, thank goodness, but I did sometimes get blocked, in inverted commas, ducts.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, exactly. That's likely the tongue tie from R.
Yeah.
And then, but for me, it wasn't obviously the tongue tie. For me, it was the wrong flange. As soon as I got the flange sorted, all done.
Yes.
But I just did what they say for mastitis and just treated it like a swollen ankle. Didn't push it too much.
Yeah.
And just, ice packs and ibuprofen and anti-inflammatories. And I did end up like through this whole journey, I did end up having to take domperidone, but that was more after. I think I only started with that.
I feel like that was almost a year even, maybe, like a long time.
Yeah, it took me a long, because I was pumping so regularly, but then I couldn't keep up pumping every 3 to 4 hours. I just couldn't do it.
Of course. And, after 6 months, breastfeeding is still so important. Breast milk is still so important, but other foods do come into play, and you can certainly taper off timing. And
the only problem with tapering off timing is that it does taper off the supply, and I already had a low supply. So I ended up having to have the domperidone, and I did have to take a double dose, which the doctors had to double check and make sure that I could. It was all cleared, and I did take a double dose. And as if I forgot a tablet, supply would just drop immediately. So it saved my supply. But I just think what's the messaging from me that I find extremely important is the things that saved me was, please have a pump ready and on hand. So if you want to breastfeed, you're going to need a pump eventually anyway. Because if you want to go back to work, or
I started pumping at 10 months.
Exactly. And it's amazing if you don't need it. Pumps work pretty much for everyone. You just may have to figure out your own flange. So different nipples have different requirements, and there's amazing flanges out there nowadays. So, regular nipples, you can have, I don't even like that word, but I don't know what else to call them. You just have standard. You've got the sizing, but then you can also have different sorts of nipples. You've got inverted nipples. I don't know how that works for flanges, so you'd have to look into that. But you've also got elastic nipples. That means your nipple stretches more. So that means that there's flanges that actually curve your nipple. So it means it's not pulling your nipple so much. And it helps to stimulate more of the milk. So looking at different flanges for what works for you, and just having it if you need it. I hope you don't need it. But if you do need it,
you want it to be there. In the same way, formula and bottles.
Exactly.
I am so fortunate that I didn't have to use it. It was in my cupboard before I gave birth.
Exactly. Because imagine also the stress if, what if something happens to you?
What if something happened? It's kind of irresponsible to not have an alternative way to feed your baby on hand. Buy 1 tin of formula and some bottles, and know how to use them, know how to sterilize the bottle, and make sure your partner knows how to do that.
Very important. Because I mean, seriously, you could be in a car
anything
accident.
Could happen.
A tree branch could fall on you. You could have to go to hospital.
Exactly.
So many different factors. And then your partner's left without milk, and your baby's left without milk.
And it's also when you are exclusively breastfeeding, there is a mental toll in that it's all on you, and it really does help to know there is another option there just in case.
Now, beautiful. So I was just going to say the last thing about formula is, in the book Milk to Meals or Boob to Food, they actually have recommended formulas as for Australia that they have reviewed that are better options. So there are options. There are we always had goat milk formula, because goat milk is the closest to breast milk. And I do think it helped that he didn't, because cow milk is a little bit sweeter. It helped that he still preferred my breast milk.
Of course.
So it's almost he didn't mind the formula, but the formula wasn't this sweet treat. It was mum's milk is the treat.
A sweet treat. Now we'll end with some breastfeeding facts about how amazing breast milk is, but something I wanted to ask you, and I've asked you this before in private. I don't want the words to come out wrong, but I think you'll understand what I mean. It's, you put yourself through so much in terms of the pumping, the toll it took on you, and how long you went on for. I'm, as someone that pumped a little bit, I am in awe of you, because pumping is not pleasurable and enjoyable in the same way that breastfeeding can be. And you made that sacrifice again and again and again and again. And I just want to know why, or what drove you? Was it, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think I'm a stubborn person, and I have asked people, because I think stubborn people aren't even aware they're stubborn sometimes. So I've asked, and even my husband can confirm, he's like, no, you're not stubborn. This is the only thing in my life that I was stubborn and persistent with, that in the first year of birth, my word for the year, because I always ask people to reflect on what your word of the year is, of what you've learned. My word of the year for 2023, the year that I had my son, was perseverance.
Yeah.
And I learned that I have that in me, because I never thought that I would persevere. I never thought I was a person that had perseverance, but I did. And it was, for me, knowing the importance of the secure attachment.
Yeah.
So that's also why I was so obsessed, and that's why I'm still so obsessed with the positioning of the bottle.
Yes.
Because if you have to, there are ways for your baby to still connect and be close to the breast and to you.
Yes.
And so my son, that is now 2, almost 2.5, he climbs on the breast and he still associates this with nurture and warmth, and that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
And so that's what I really want people to know. So it was secure attachment, and it was also just knowing how important breast milk was and is for gut. So both sides have gut problems.
Yeah.
Formula was for both me and my husband, and breastfeeding.
Yeah.
So I knew if I have to supplement formula, I can, but I want to try to give him the best start at life for gut.
Yeah.
A. B, also the obsession, not just with pumping, but with breastfeeding, was for tongue and jaw development.
It changes the whole structure
It really
of a
does.
face. It is frightening.
Massive.
Yeah.
I was a dental nurse for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm obsessed with, jaw and mouth and skull and all of this stuff. And so even the surgeon, like dentist, he said to us, please do baby-led weaning as well.
Yeah.
So I didn't do full baby-led weaning, but I did like 80% baby-led weaning to make sure that he was also chewing and yeah. So I was persistent with pumping because I was stubborn.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to persevere. I knew how important it was for his gut. And it's almost like there was something in me that I knew to some degree, and I don't even know now, but it was also something in me that knew that future babies wouldn't have this issue. So if I had more babies, that I would want them all to have breast milk for 1.5 years minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum. And I didn't want to rob him of that.
No.
Because I didn't want to give that to one child and not another.
Yes.
But also, I also knew this is my first baby. If I'm going to exclusively pump anytime, this will be the easiest time.
Yes.
So it's one baby.
Yeah.
That's also why I'm so this time we're going to breastfeed and really manifesting that VBAC, because I think that's one of the massive aspects of it.
Yeah.
But I want to breastfeed for a minimum 1.5 years. And I think that if we can breastfeed, I don't think I'll have an issue with that. I think if anything, I'm going to have the issue of when to wean.
Yes. Welcome to my life.
Yes. I think I'll have that issue more than because Sven sometimes is like that. These people are breastfeeding for such a long time, and I'm like, dude, can you prepare yourself, because that'll be me.
This is another episode where we talk about extended breastfeeding, because I'm still doing it.
But it's also wild because C still needs comfort from a bottle, because again, we've established it like a breast.
Yep.
But now what we do, just to make sure that he eats well, is we only give him 50 ml of milk and then the rest of water. So it's like 100 ml of water and 50 ml of milk. But he still associates it with, he calls it bookie, with milk and with a breast. And for him, it's like breastfeeding.
Yes.
And I find it hilarious that people can see this 2.5-year-old and they're comfortable with him coming to my breast and getting a bottle, and they're like, yeah, this is totally normal. But as soon as they hear of a 2.5-year-old breastfeeding,
got side-eyed today in the IKEA food court for breastfeeding.
I know.
This person was glaring at me because Ara is obviously a toddler. But then this is a thing we'll talk about in a future episode. But if you can do it and it works, it is a toddler superpower. It dials them down when it's literally it is the answer to so many problems. It's clear.
Maybe they're just jealous that they don't have that coming.
It's clear that as mammals, we are we're designed to do this for longer than we do in our modern society, because it helps so much with toddler development. Anyway, the last thing I want to say, because I think you touched on it, is the power, like the importance of breast milk and why you persevered for so long. And I think you're incredible. And I actually think this is the first time that we've spoken about it that I haven't cried, because I always cry when I send you voice notes when I think about it, because it just like like not even hours, like days, weeks of time and discomfort. Like it's just,
I'm going to have to look it up and just
and it's just like, it is a lifelong gift that you've given C. Like he will benefit from it forever. Yeah. And it's such a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing about breastfeeding, there's obviously the gut thing that you've spoken about. There's just so many other benefits. It changes every single day. Like no 2 drops of breast milk are ever the same. You're constantly responding to what your baby needs. When your baby is sick, you make antibodies in the milk to fight the sicknesses. And it also does
more water in hot days.
Yeah, and it does amazing things for the mother's health, actually. Yes. I think is it 6 or 12? There's a certain period of time that if you breastfeed for longer than that, it drops your rates of like ovarian cancer by a significant amount, breast cancer by a significant amount.
Yep.
And it's just an amazing thing.
But I just want to say, though, to exclusive pumpers out there,
yes,
you are incredible. Every time I hear another exclusive pumper, I have a friend that's an exclusive pumper, and I'm just like, you are amazing. And she's like, you did it too. I'm like, no, I know how amazing you are. I am so proud of you. That honestly, no matter how long you can do it for, like, I'm proud of you.
Any amount
that you can do. And look, you can look into if breast milk is important to you, but you can't do it. And please don't feel bad that you, like, I was stubborn and I, like, seriously, for my mental health, if I didn't do it, I was scared of my mental health.
Yeah.
That's also why I persevered.
Yes.
Because I knew for my mental health, if I stopped, I would like, I had postpartum depression, which we'll talk next time.
Yeah.
But I had postpartum depression. I mean, no shocker. I already had a depression beforehand, so it's not like a shocker that this triggered it even further. But I knew that I would have a massive dip if I stopped before I was ready.
Yeah.
Before I was mentally ready.
Yes.
And so that's also why I persevered. But for other people, they need to stop for their mental health.
Exactly.
So please, like, I have a book that I really want to recommend.
Yes.
It's a book that if you are an exclusive pumper or you have any breastfeeding trauma, we do not talk about breastfeeding trauma. And I'm not even going to say we don't talk about it enough. We don't talk about it at all.
At all.
We don't talk about breastfeeding trauma and grief. And this book, Why Breastfeeding, Grief and Trauma Matter, is incredible. It's really tiny and it just tells different people's stories. And I just remember one day when I was ready for it. I don't even know if you're ever really fully ready for it, but I lay down, I had a bath, I put my labor music on, had candles, and I just started reading, and I just cried and cried. And what I like about crying in the bath is that your tears become the bath water and you're just able to just release it. So I was and there's just so many stories of other mums that go through it. There are stories of mums that they're a third child, which is amazing. And that's also what was good for me to hear. It's like, it's not just your first. It's not because of your nipples.
No.
And another beautiful doctor, lactation consultant, Dr. Eliza Hannon from Nurtured Medic, she couldn't breastfeed her second child.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she could eventually, but he just was not a fan of the breast.
Yeah.
And she was like, what's happening? She said something to me that changed everything as well. She said, Mel, my second, a boy also, is highly sensitive.
Yes.
And as soon as she said that, because it's really hard to tell if a newborn's highly sensitive because they're newborns.
Yes.
As soon as she said that, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My son is likely highly sensitive. I'm highly sensitive. I tick every bloody box.
Yeah.
No joke. So I was like, my son, maybe, because he was so little. I was like, maybe. As he's getting older, I'm like, he's definitely highly sensitive. Like, in comparison to R, he can't handle the noises. Like, the way that he interacts with the world differently to R is a huge difference of the sensitivity.
Let's just tell the Wiggles concert story.
Yeah.
We took them to the Wiggles concert.
Yeah.
R is like dancing, singing, having the best time. C was so overwhelmed he passed out.
Like, but even
fell
entering,
asleep from stress.
Yeah, so entering the concert, there were kids crying and screaming, probably also highly sensitive. And my son was like in freeze mode. Like he was in my arms, terrified.
Yeah.
And was like, la, la, la.
He was like going to see the
like he was just happy.
So happy.
And C was really struggling. So that by the time we got in there, he literally just fell asleep for the majority of the concert because he was so overstimulated.
Yeah.
So, he's really highly sensitive, which I think was also a massive factor to the breastfeeding. But yes, read the Breastfeeding Grief and Trauma, or even don't even read it. Just have it on your bookshelf so that if ever you feel like you want to hear someone else's story or you don't want to feel alone, you've got that. And and it gives you tips of how to manage it, how to go through it, like talk to professionals, talk to friends, but also know that you are not crazy. Wanting to breastfeed your baby is, you're allowed to want to feed your baby, and not being able to is agonizing. It is grief. It is trauma. Please see it, hold it in yourself, and know that you are incredible no matter where your journey goes.
Yes.
If you can't pump, if it doesn't work, that's okay.
Yes.
If you can and you persevere to a certain amount, amazing. And even if you can't, like, please never compare yourself of how much milk you're getting to someone else. Whenever I see someone like pouring gallons,
I can't stop with those videos. Like, why do people make those videos? It's just, honestly,
I think because they have no idea. They have no idea. And look, oversupply is another issue.
Exactly, yeah.
Not one that I understand.
No.
But it exists.
It's another issue as well.
It's not an issue that I understand. My mum had that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I would like that. Can I have a bit? Just a bit. Let's share. So that way you don't oversupply. I would just like a normal supply.
I truly think, and we'll see with Jay, but I truly think that you're not a low milk supply person. I think you didn't get he didn't latch and didn't stimulate. I would be very surprised if everything goes well with Jay if you have any issues.
I think just with my family's history, like my mum had an oversupply, but my sister was a just enougher.
Just enougher, yeah. Which is actually what you want to be.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm a just enougher, and I will take that. I will take anything. And that's another thing, is that if you're listening to this, if you've made it this far and you have no breastfeeding issues and you can breastfeed, thank you for listening to someone else's story.
Yeah.
But also just know that it's like, please know how painful it is to not do it, like hold someone's space.
Absolutely.
It is like, it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
Yeah.
It is agonizing. It brings up tears and pain every time. So please know how hard it is for someone.
Yeah.
Never minimize it. And even if you do, just minimize it in your own head. Don't say it out loud. Just be with the person.
And think, gee, I'm so lucky that I can't relate to that.
Exactly. And also just like, please don't compare and be like, oh, yeah, well, mine's also difficult. Okay, look, we're not trying to compare and say that exclusive pumping is harder. However, that book, as I said, also gave me the validation to know, I'm sorry, but it kind of is harder in many ways.
Of course it is. And I don't think that's up for discussion. Of course it is.
So it's like there's different challenges. And like that's something that I'm preparing myself for, is the different challenges of breastfeeding. Like, for example, in the car, I can't just give a bottle. I have to put my breast in the car seat.
Yes.
You know, but that's a different challenge.
And sometimes, feeling touched out and the constant need to respond and being the only thing that can settle.
And then constantly coming on.
There's different hard things, but
we're not comparing.
We're not comparing.
It's not a comparison.
But there should be no minimization. It's something.
Yes, please don't.
Something that I think as well is, find support from the right people, as you did. You're lucky. And also, I'm going to generalize, but I do feel like there is a generation of women that are older than us, typically our parents' generation, and a lot of them didn't breastfeed because formula was so pushed, and it was basically said, oh, it's the same. Like, it's fine.
It is.
Why bother with breastfeeding? Here you go. And I think a lot of those women may not realize it, but I think they have grief and trauma about decisions that they made 30 years ago, and now often will project onto our generation and say, oh, well, why are you bothering to do that?
Exactly.
This is a fine alternative. And I just think, don't listen to those people. read that book and find people that understand the significance of a trauma and grief journey with breastfeeding and how to hold space for that. And
100%.
Don't let it be minimized by someone else saying, oh, well, I never breastfed and no, it was fine.
Yeah. And look, when someone's telling you a really hard story about something, as a therapist and as a friend as well, as a therapist friend, I hope that I do this, but sometimes like as a friend, like you hear someone say it, and because I'm not in therapist mode, I think of my own story. Yeah. When I'm a therapist, I'm not thinking of my story. I'm just with the client.
Your lens is outward.
But when I'm with a friend, I'm like, I do think of my story, and it's not to compare, but it's just like kind of to empathize and to hold space, right? Yeah. But it's just like, I'm not going to share my story now.
No.
It's time for yours.
Yeah.
So if someone is telling you their story or their pain of breastfeeding, just hold space for it. And if you feel like you need to say yours, say it to someone else. Yeah. Journal it. Say it to your partner, to a friend, like, oh, breastfeeding at the breast is so hard. Yeah. Please say it to someone else in that moment. Mm-hmm. Say it to the exclusive pumper maybe another time. But like, me seeing a baby latch easily is still hard sometimes.
Of course it is.
Me seeing a baby just get on the breast breaks my heart sometimes. And it's not like, I'm not never going to make that person feel bad because I'm so happy for them. And sometimes I even say that to mums.
Yeah.
I say, I'm so happy that you've got that.
Yeah.
Because I also want them to be grateful for it.
Yeah.
So the other book that I was going to suggest is The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. Now, I opened this a little bit and I read a little bit of it, but then as soon as I went through it, I couldn't.
No.
So I'm hoping that next time I do, but my beautiful friend gifted me this, and so I'm looking forward to reading it second time around.
Yeah.
I know a lot about breastfeeding, but I'm just looking forward to having a different perspective.
Yes.
The only other thing I will say, and the other thing that broke me, and this is for any other exclusive pumper that just could not latch after everything, like the same as my story, is I read a textbook from my lactation consultant, massive textbook, and I was skimming through it trying to find my experience.
Yep.
Because it shows you every single experience. There was a tiny, tiny paragraph at the end of the textbook that said, when nothing works.
Yeah.
And when I read that, I broke.
Yeah.
And I burst out crying in front of my lactation consultant. And I said to her, I didn't realize how many people have minimized my story. How many people say, oh, yeah, but he's fed. Oh, yeah, but you can pump.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's such an easy baby. I'm like, what the F are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, good luck with a second child if you think he's hard. I'm sorry, fuck off. This is not an easy baby.
I cannot believe
this
anyone
is not
said
an
that
easy
to you.
experience. I mean, he's a delight some of the time, but I mean, like, he had colic. He had breastfeeding issues. Like, the newborn experience we had was like, it's just like, that was not effing easy.
Absolutely not.
So it's just like, please know you're not alone. It's not meant to be this hard, and our society does not support us the way that we're meant to be supported.
Yeah.
And just, please hold your babies. Try to be close with them when you're feeding. Try not to give everyone in the world a bottle. And take care of your mental health.
Yes.
I see a psychologist every fortnight now in preparation for this journey.
Yes.
And in postpartum, I did too. After 6 weeks, I made an appointment, saw a psychologist, and I saw them every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So please know you're not alone, and there is help.
Yeah. All right. Next week
is postpartum depression and anxiety.
Because I had one and you had the other.
We had one of each. And what's awesome is that we tell each other our neuroses.
Yes, totally.
But it's just like, oh, wow, that's really hard. But it's like, I have a different one.
And I think this is what I said in like episode 1 is I think that's why we got even closer in postpartum, because it wasn't a comparison of what's harder. It's like, I'm going through this and it's fucked. And you were like, yeah, I'm going through this and it's fucked.
And I was like,
we were both like,
and we were both like to each other's messed upness. Like, that's pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was also kind of like, I'm glad I don't have that. And you were like, I'm glad I don't have yours. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really glad that I have only mine.
I know. Oh gosh.
And it's
Thank
still,
you.
yeah.
Thank you, Mel, for talking so openly about something that is so, so hard. And yeah, I'm just in awe of you. And I knew early on like what you were doing, but it was when I experienced what pumping was like myself, I was like, Mel is a freaking warrior.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that book also validates that. Is like having mums that were able to have a beautiful breastfeeding first journey and then like second or third not being able to pump, and they're just like, what the F is this?
Yeah.
Is such a beautiful like validation to go, okay, so it is hard.
Yeah.
It's really nice. So thank you so much. And yeah, I was preparing for this podcast like this week.
Yeah.
And I said to Sven, oh no, I'm going to cry again. I don't cry in front of people. I don't even cry in front of Sven.
I know.
This is childhood trauma stuff.
I know.
I don't cry in front of people. So like, I was like, great, I'm crying for the whole world now.
For the online community.
Yay.
Yay.
But thank you if you've made it this far. Thank you for making it this far. And if you are an exclusive pumper, you're
a hero.
Awesome. Even if you're not an exclusive pumper and you've listened to this, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for holding space for someone else and for other people's stories. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. See you guys next time.
See you next time.
Postpartum and depression.
But it'll be
anxiety.
like a fun episode. We'll throw some fun.
I mean, I feel like we're just going to be laughing the entire time just from our delusion. Just being like, oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
We did it.
You did it. That was good.